Hi Rajshri, how are you?
Yeah, hi Rakesh. I'm good. How are you?
I'm good too. Thank you for asking. So can you tell us something about yourself?
Yeah. So, thank you. First of all, thank you for giving me this opportunity, Rakesh. So, I'm Kumari Rajshri. I'm currently working in TCS as a software test engineer, and I'm having experience of 2 years. Basically, I'm working on Java with Selenium as and BDD framework as per using Cucumber, and uh, using build automation tool like Gradle, and I'm basically maintaining the automation test script in my project. Um, so that is regarding my project, and I'm basically from Ranchi, Jharkhand.
Mhm. Okay, great. So can you tell me something about your automation framework? What kind of automation framework it is? What are the input files, output files? What are the test reporting tools that you are using?
Yeah, sure, Rakesh. Basically, I'm working with the client Morgan Stanley, and in which we are testing a web application for the Morgan Stanley team, and in that team we are using Selenium for your testing the web application, and we are using the language which is Java for automating, like for giving a plain text, the test scenarios and test steps. We are using Cucumber BDD framework, where we are providing the test scenarios, feature files, and everything. And for building like automation tool for running it, we are using Gradle as
Mm.
an application for that. And yeah, that's it.
Okay. Now let's say you have to test a banking application or an application with a banking domain, right? So how will you test it?
Yeah.
Which are the different types of testing that you will perform?
Okay, so first, if we are going to the banking page, so we will check for the first that the banking page, the URL which is getting loaded or not.
Hmm.
Once it gets loaded, so you will have a username, password, something like that for checking your account number, details, whatever account balance you are having. So for that account, username and password, we'll be having test scenario one, that to go to that page. First, the page loads, and then second, once you get your username and password, once you hit the login button, it will land to the another page where you will get your all the personal bank account details. For that test scenario should be that to log into the page. In that, you can have various test steps, that once you give the correct user name, password, once you get the invalid username or invalid password, so what should be the outcome? And then once you give all the perfect thing, like correct username, correct password, once you log into the page, and then the page opens for you like that. After that, whatever functionality you are working on that page, for example, checking the bank balance, and checking your transaction details or whatnot, so those will be the test scenarios, and in which we'll be adding some test steps, that this you have to navigate to this page, and then you have to click on this, and then like
Hmm.
that.
Okay. So this was about login page, right? But when you have to test
Yeah.
the entire banking domain application, right? Then there are various things that you will be testing, right? So you
Yeah.
and those are complex testing, right? So you will be testing multiple things, right? So I have listed down few of the things, right? So
Yeah.
let me share my screen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is my screen visible?
Just 2 minutes. I think it's loading. Yeah, I can see it.
Yeah. See now what all things you will test when it comes to banking application, right? So
Yeah.
you will have to test the transactions, especially let's say in a banking domain application when you are transferring the money from one account to another or from multiple accounts to one account or you are doing any kind of transaction. So those kind of testing, those kind
Yeah.
of test scenarios are very helpful, right? And these days, the digital online transactions are happening. So you will be testing that particular scenario from mobile also. You'll be testing it from the computer also, from the website also. right? So whether you are able to do that from the web application or not. Then the second and the foremost thing is about the security testing, right? So you will be testing the security of the application. Let's say if there are multiple account, so they should be able to view only their account details only once they have logged in into the application, right? For example, if there are multiple vendors, vendor one, vendor two, there are multiple consumers, customers. So there should be a secured environment, and security should be well maintained when any one of them accesses that particular application, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Then you will also do integration testing, system integration testing, right? So what are the scenarios for system integration testing? That is, you will test whenever the different modules of the banking application, they are integrated properly. When you navigate from one screen to another screen, are the values being calculated properly as per the need, or those values are getting reset? So those kind of things you will be
Yeah.
testing, right? Then not only that, then UI UX are few of the scenarios that you will be testing in the banking domain application. Then finally, if you have to open some fixed deposit, or you have to do some savings related or stock market related some investments or all those, so are those things seamless that any person can understand those particular things, because day in and day out many of us are using all those features, right? So there should
Yeah.
be ease of use also. So that also you will be testing, right? So these are few
Yeah.
of the advantages that you will be testing in BFSI application.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. So this was there. Now, what is BDD framework?
It's a behavior driven framework actually. So
Hmm.
in which we are using some plain text which are like which is not known to business requirement or any other person who are not actually implementing or testing the code. So those person can get the behaviorable thing they can understand easily.
Hmm.
Right.
Okay. So any business person can also understand, and they can write their own test cases. So you are going for BDD framework.
Yeah.
Okay. Now let's say there is a scenario, you are automating one of the website, and you have to switch from the fifth frame to the fourth frame, right? And all are nested frames, right? Within one frame you have another frame. So you have 5 to 6 frames, and you want to switch from fifth frame to fourth frame. So how will you do that? How will you achieve that via automation?
By automation, we can use that switch to method for switching to the frames.
Okay. Then,
Um, then I cannot recollect right now.
okay,
Sorry.
no worries. See, this is a mock interview. Even if you don't know the answer of the question, that is totally fine. So you are switching from one frame to another, and I was giving you an example of switching from fifth frame to the fourth frame, right? So what is happening?
Yeah.
Ultimately, you are switching to the parent, right? So there are
Yeah.
multiple ways when you can switch to the frame: by index, by name or ID, or you can also switch to the iframe via ID, right? So there are multiple ways to do that. Now, in this case, you are trying to switch to the parent one, right? So you can just try to identify the web element or ID of the parent, and then you can switch from child to parent,
Fair. Yeah.
right? Okay. So, okay, can you write a code of switching from one iframe to another iframe? You have joined from laptop, right?
Uh, yeah. Yeah. I have joined from laptop.
So I am giving you screen sharing rights. Mhm. You don't need to write the code in IDE or any Eclipse or IntelliJ. Just write in a Notepad++. Yeah, click on share screen
Okay.
button, the green color.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Got it. Is it visible? This is whiteboard.
Yes, yes, whiteboard is visible.
Yeah, so for switching to iframe, I don't have right idea on that.
Okay,
So
okay, no worries. So let me write that code for you. Yeah, you can stop sharing your screen.
yeah,
Okay. See, uh, is my screen visible now?
yeah,
Yeah. So any driver object that we can create, and then this is the website. Okay, you will maximize that website. You will have implicit weight. You know the difference between implicit and explicit weight, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
For
Yeah.
implicit wait, we have to wait for certain amount of time, but for explicit, we have to wait for a certain condition. So yeah,
So then you will apply a for loop. Okay, on which
yeah,
particular frame you have to switch, right? So that particular XPath, you can also find element for that, right? And then
yeah,
you can print the output, right?
yeah,
Driver dot switch to dot frame my driver dot switch to default content. So this is how you can write your code. It depends on situation to situation, whether you want to go for index, whether you want to go for element, right? So it depends on that.
yeah.
Now, I'm giving you one program to write. Okay, so I am mentioning the question in the chat box also, so you can understand.
Okay,
You have to write a Java program to count number of Unicode code points in the specified text range of a string. So any string you can take, and then you have to write a
yeah.
Java program to count the number of Unicode points in that particular specified text range of a string. Right? Yeah. So can you share your screen? Yeah.
Yeah, but before sharing, I just want to uh
Yeah. You will have to go
know
to
the
IntelliJ or
Unicode.
you will have to open Eclipse. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, okay.
Hmm.
Just want to know about Unicode or code points
Hmm.
meaning.
Have you heard about that Unicode code points?
No.
No. Okay. Okay. Fine. See, the code point count. There is a method which takes two arguments: begin index and end index. So if you specify the range of the substring whose code points are to be counted, then this method will return you the number of Unicode code points.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
So you can share your screen. Just click on share screen button.
Yeah. Stop sharing.
So is it done? You have stopped sharing?
No, actually, I'm not
Oh,
very much sure with this code.
okay,
So
okay, no worries, no worries. So I'll share my screen. Should be. Hmm. Right. Now is my screen visible?
yeah,
Yeah. So you can see this is actually a method, code point count, right? It takes two arguments,
okay,
begin index and end index, right? Now this method will return the number of Unicode code points in the specified substring. So any string you can take. Here we have taken tutor Joe's, right? You can take any string, right? Now this
yeah,
method is called with arguments 1 and 10, which specify the range of the substring, right? So it is from 1 to 10. Right. So, and then they will use system.out.println method to print, right? So
right,
this would
yeah,
be the output of the string, right? So how,
yeah.
yeah. So this is about it. Okay. Now, what do you mean by API testing?
API testing is testing an interface. Um, yeah,
Sorry, testing with the,
testing like it's between it works as an interface between testing between two environments.
hmm. Okay. Now see, what is API testing? So API is nothing but application programming interface. So, right, you don't have a front end of the application. So you will be testing the back end. You'll be testing the APIs
Right,
are working fine or not. For example, if you have to test create user functionality, if the UI UX is not ready, then you will hit the API. You will see whether you are getting the proper response code, expected response code over there or not, right? What is the expected output, right? So if you hit the API with the proper request parameters and it is working fine, you should receive 200 or 201 as the response code, which would tell you that yes, this API is working fine. If you get some error or if you get some 500, some kind of a server code, right? Then that means that API is not working, right?
yeah.
So there is a lot of importance has been given to API testing these days. Do you do API testing in your current project?
No,
You don't know. Okay. Can you explain me what is data-driven framework?
yes, those framework which are actually for used for data.
Hmm.
Uh, so that frameworks are known as data-driven framework. Um,
So how will you process that particular data?
uh, Not sure on this. So
Mhm. Okay. So what happens in a data-driven framework is you will be reading data from various files. It can be a CSV file, it can be a JSON file, it can be an XML file, and you will be passing those data into your application. You will be testing various data into your application, and you will be validating whether those data it is accepting or not. If it's a valid data, if it's an invalid data, then it should not accept, and it should give you a message also. So those kind of things you will be doing via data driven framework, right? You will be reading data from an Excel file, right? You can read
yeah,
from some particular rows from some particular cell, and then you can come to know, okay, whether this is working or not. So that is data driven framework, right? People generally use
yeah.
Apache POI to read data from Excel. Okay, what is agile?
So agile is basically a mindset or a process in which we work, which is having basic methodologies and uh, scrum team accountabilities, and all those areas in which we work on like a team.
Right, so you work as a team. So agile is a methodology, right?
Yeah.
So which are the different agile ceremonies that you will have?
Okay. So basically, we are having five, which is sprint, Then we are having daily stand-up. Then we are
Mm,
having sprint grooming refinement. And then we are having sprint preview. And in the last we are having sprint retro.
mhm.
So like this we are having sprint.
Right. So basically, if someone is asking you what is agile, so you can tell in an interview, agile is a methodology, right? It is an approach that involves breaking the project into various phases, right? And you will be following a cycle of
Yeah.
planning, executing, and evaluating the product. So whatever you have created that you will be evaluating, you give demos in the agile to the stakeholders or to the customers, right? And you will come to know whether what is the feedback of them, whether you need to change anything or not, right? So that's how it's a
Yeah.
methodology, right? Okay, now what do you mean by burn up and burn down charts?
So basically, burn down charts are the charts when we complete the sprint and we see the progress. Like the chart is having accurate value, and we see how we have performed and whether it uh, matches the acceptance or matches that chart uh, um, part.
Hmm,
And burn up chart, I'm not pretty much sure on that. Maybe I'll just give a try that maybe
hmm.
that sprint started and that burn up something related to that. Not sure on this.
So, yeah, no worries. See, burn up chart, it will depict the amount of work done in the project, right? What you have done till now, that is burn up chart, right? Burn down chart will illustrate the amount of work remaining in the project,
Okay.
right? Okay, Rajshri, I am done with the interview. Do you have any questions for me?
Yeah, just want to know more, like how I can uh, improve myself more. Like, what should I go and learn first?
See, I think if you can have a good command on Java, if you can revisit few concepts of Java and Selenium, then definitely your chances of getting selected in an interview will improve and it will increase also. See, manual testing, we asked questions, you are fine with that. Then Agile is also bit okay. You will have to revisit concepts, but give priority to Selenium and Java first, right? Rest all looks good. Your presentation skills are good. Your communication skills are good, right? You are a good listener. You are able to understand the questions, right? And you were actually trying to answer also. So that's also a good part. Many a times what happens in an interview, the candidates just give up. They don't, try much ahead of it. So that is not with you. So that was good, Rajshri, right? So thank you so much for coming today
Yeah,
and wish you all the best for your career.
yeah. Thank you, Rakesh, for giving this opportunity and doing this mock interview, which is very helpful to all the candidates who are preparing.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you.